The Family House by Felix LeClerc. We were all brothers and sisters alike, born in a long 3-story wooden house, a house as humped and crusty as a loaf of homemade bread, as warm and clean inside as the white of the loaf. Roofed over with shingles, harboring robins in its gables, it looked itself like an old nest perched up there in the silence, taking the north wind over the left shoulder, beautifully adjusted to nature. From the roadside, one might also have mistaken it for an enormous boulder stranded on the beach. In truth, it was a stubborn old thing, soaking up storms and twilight, determined not to die of anything less than old age, like the 2 elms beside it. The house turned its back squarely on the rest of the town so as not to see the new subdivision with its shiny little boxes as fragile as mushrooms. Looking out over the valley, high road for the wild St. Maurice River, it focused as if in ecstasy on the long caravan of blue mountains over there, the ones that flocks of clouds and the oldest seagulls don't seem able to get over. With its rusty sides, its black roof, and its trimmed windows, our common cradle crouched over the heavy cement foundation sunk solidly in the ground like a ship's anchor to hold us firm. For we were 11 children abroad, a turbulent, strident lot, but as timid as baby chicks. A big, robust, rough field house chimney, held together by trowel-smooth mortar, began in the cellar near the round-bellied furnace just above the draughty little iron door that, sticking a mirror into, you could see the stars. Like the hub of a wheel, it rose through the floors, distributing spokes of heat, then broke through to the outside as stiff as a sentinel, with a plumed helmet, and smoked there with wind-swept hair, close to a grey ladder laying along the roof. The grey ladder and a sooty little door, we were told, were not for human use, but for an old man in red, who in winter jumped from roof to roof behind reindeer harnessed in white. From top to bottom, our home was inhabited by us in the center like the core of a fruit, at the edges by my parents, in the cellars and attics by superb and silent men, lumberjacks by trade. In the walls, under the floors, between the joists, near the carpets, and in the folds of the lampshades lived goblins and gnomes and fairies, snatches of song, silly jokes, and the echoes of games. In the veins of our house ran pure poetry. We had a chair for rocking in, a bench for saying prayers, a sofa to cry on, a 2-step staircase for playing trains. Also other fine toys that we didn't dare touch, like the 2-wired bird with its long beak and the bell in its forehead that talked to the grown-ups. A flower-patterned linoleum was our garden, a hook on the wall, a bollard to tie up our imaginary boats. The staircases were slides, the pipes running up the walls, our masts and armchairs, miniature stages where we learnt with the hats, gloves, and overcoats of our elders how to make the same faces that we wear today, but without finding them funny. A vast corridor divided the ground floor lengthwise. A few rung-backed chairs made a circle in one corner. Above them, a row of hooks like question marks disappeared beneath the coats of visitors who came to consult Papa, the biggest timber merchant in the valley. The living room and a bedroom for visitors stood side by side. The living room with its black piano, its net curtains, its big blue armchair, its gold-framed pictures, a few old-style chairs upholstered in satin. Particularly a spring rocker dressed up like an old lady out of the past with tassels on the hem of her dress gave our lives a quality of Sunday celebration. Our parents' bedroom closed its doors on impenetrable secrets. In its obscurity slumbered an old dresser full of camphor-scented sheets, between which my mother hid mysterious notebooks, repositories of the exact hour of our birth, the names of our godfathers and godmothers, and very private family events. To the left of the hall, a smoking room served as my father's study and as library for us all. A door opened to the dining room. Classroom would be more exact, for we only ate there once or twice a year. In the sewing room, between the sewing machines and an enormous cupboard, stood the sofa, ready to be cried on. At the back of the house, spreading the full width, was our gay and singing kitchen, the cast iron stove with its built-in mirror, the red kitchen cupboards, the white muslin curtains hanging like fog in the narrow windows, and the patches of sunlight playing on the left of the long family table. There shone an ever-burning lamp, known to all people throughout time as the soul of the home. There we were told the good news and bad. There Papa signed our school report cards. There in the high rocking chair we would often sit in silence to think of facts of creation discovered that day and ponder on the strange and marvelous world we had fallen into. The first floor was lined with children's bedrooms. There were 8, I think, divided between girls and boys. In the girls' room it was cleaner, rosier, airier than the boys'. On the walls they pinned up tiny frames, graceful silhouettes and sprigs of flowers. On ours, we stuck huge vulgar calendars of hunters waiting for game and old gents smoking rubbed tobacco. Our room, the most spacious on the floor, looked out on the garden, its black earth full as a cornucopia and cut through with straight little paths that we walked down every evening, watering until the watching eyes of the cottontails. We each had our own bed, a little white bed with a real straw mattress and iron bedposts ending in brass knobs where we hung our clothes, our slingshots, and our hands clasped in prayer. On the second floor, a screened veranda jutted out of its bow like a pilot house. It was a veritable observation post dominating the waves of the valley like those of the sea, waves of snowstorms, waves of loggers in springtime, waves of poor families gathering wild fruit, waves of falling leaves, of showers, of sunshine, of the beating of birds' wings, of paths traced by children, hunters, and fishermen. On hot nights we slept there, above the wave, on the wooden porch which was also the children's playroom. Soldiers, teddy bears, drums, little wooden shoes, dolls, seated at table before empty china plates, all keeping good company together. A tin bridge built long ago by my eldest brother served as access to this cardboard world. On the floor above, behind a bullseye window, stretched the attic, a long, deserted, dusty cage, dormitory in winter for several lumberjacks. Between the 3-legged chairs and the family portrait, these men on their mattresses, devoured by fatigue, tumbled headlong each night into sleep. And like the crew of a happy ship, thinking neither of arrivals nor of departures, but only of the sea that carries them, we sped through childhood, all sail set, thrilled with each morning and every night, envying neither distant ports nor far cities, convinced that our ship was flying the best colors and that we carried on board all necessary potions to ward off pirates and bad luck. The house we lived in was number 168, Rue Clairefontaine.